UFC 259 will be headlined by Israel Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz for the unified light heavyweight title. Coming into this fight, Adesanya has decimated his way through the middleweight division. At the time of this video, here are the ranked fighters he's beaten: Whitaker, Costa, Vettori, Brunson, Gastelum, Tavares, and Yoel Romero. A record like this is impressive in and of itself, but to add to his accolades, Adesanya has obliterated his way through the division in under 1,000 days. Very rarely do we see a champion get a chance to fight for a second belt, and it's an even rarer sight to see someone get this chance so early into their UFC career. In fact, if Adesanya beats Jan and captures the light heavyweight gold, he will overtake Conor McGregor as the fastest champ in UFC history. On the other side, we have Jan Blachowicz, one of the greatest comeback stories the UFC has ever produced. After losing 4 of his first 6 UFC fights, Jan was on the verge of being cut by the UFC, but in 2017, something changed for Jan, and it proved to be for the better. After his near miss with Exile, Jan went on an incredible run, winning 8 of his next 9 fights, including 5 stoppages, to be crowned the first light heavyweight champion not named Jones or Cormier in the last decade. Jan flatlined Dominic Reyes with his patented Polish power with absolute ease, and his reward is a super fight with Israel the Last Stylebender, Adesanya. This fight has been one of the most anticipated fights for 2021, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Jan Blachowicz stands at 6'2" with a reach of 78 inches. Israel Adesanya stands at 6'4" with a reach of 80 inches. Jan sports a finish rate of 70%, while Izzy sports a finish rate of 75%. First, let's take a look at the grappling. Unlike Israel's last fight, the ground game will become a major player in this fight against the Polish champion. Although Polish power is what he's known for now, what's even scarier about Jan is the fact that he has more submission wins than knockouts. Jan possesses the rare combination of efficient striking and excellent grappling. He'll use his striking as a cover-up for his takedowns, usually power double legs, and more often than not succeeds in taking his opponent down, having the second highest takedown accuracy ever in the light heavyweight division at 52%. Whether he's on top or on his back, Jan is simply efficient. This is evident in his fight against Nikita Krylov, where he throws up several submission attempts. Although Jan is a technical grappler, he's also physically imposing and strong, allowing him to secure unorthodox submissions, foregoing the old adage, position before submission. Looking at his submission against Devin Clark here, or his interesting sideways arm triangle of Nikita Krylov here, it's easy to see that Jan doesn't always concern himself with securing what BJJ instructors would call the ideal positions to attempt these submissions. He also has no qualms about using his strength for takedowns as well, in exchange for a little less technical prowess. Izzy, on the other hand, there isn't much to speak about when it comes to the ground game, but for all the right reasons. By now we know Adesanya loves to stand and strike, but the reason he's able to utilize this is because of his strong takedown defense. In the history of the middleweight division, Izzy has the second highest takedown defense at 86.5%, which is just 0.6% short of the highest. Adesanya has never had a submission win in his MMA career, but this is because he finds a way to end the fight with his fists and feet rather than his jiu-jitsu. Adesanya has textbook sprawls and is quick with his reactions, giving up only 2 takedowns in his last 7 UFC fights. Now, let's take a look at the most crucial aspect of this fight, the stand-up. If you've watched our previous breakdown of Adesanya, you'll know exactly who he is and how he implements his stand-up game. In the history of the UFC, there have been very few strikers who've had the precision and timing as Adesanya, which he's developed over an extensive kickboxing career. Even over 100 fights in, we are watching an undefeated champ get better and better every single fight. Being tall and lanky, Adesanya doesn't generate or rely on the power aspect of striking, and instead relies on using his natural advantages. He will often stand in long stances, making it much harder for opponents to close the distance, as well as constantly switching between southpaw and orthodox to make it difficult to catch his rhythm. Staying at range is the name of the game, and his favorite techniques show it. For example, his pullback right hand or his left hook counter, which he used to knock out both Whitaker and Paulo Costa. Using effective counters such as those, Adesanya punishes overzealous pressure fighters. This was apparent in the Costa fight. Many people will say Costa just didn't try, but the truth is, Adesanya just didn't let him. Adesanya constantly shifted his movement, circling left and right unpredictably, while pounding Costa's legs with kicks, slowing him down until a perfectly timed counter shut out the lights. Adesanya is by no means a volume fighter and is patient and intelligent in the octagon. He has a significant strikes landed per minute of 4.10, but has only absorbed a significant strikes per minute of 2.33, meaning he lands nearly 43% more strikes than he takes. After all, he has a striking defense of 65%. There's a reason why in just under 3 years, he's third all-time in middleweight knockdowns, only 2 behind Anderson Silva for first ever. On the flip side, Jan is a beast of his own on the feet. Jan Blachowicz has a very unique stand-up game when you truly dig into it. He's a fighter who switches from orthodox to southpaw all the time, but there's one main reason for this, and that reason is Polish power. Jan possesses otherworldly strength in both hands, and like we mentioned in the grappling section, knows how to use it. He used his left hook from hell to relegate Rockhold to the Shadow Realm, and his right to send Corey Anderson to Bellator. Jan lies more on the counter-striker side of the stand-up spectrum, and one of his best tools is his jab. He's been able to use his jabs to keep his opponents at bay and where he wants them. As the fight prolongs, his opponents become frustrated and make mistakes trying to close the distance. Jan has excellent and powerful hooks waiting in the wings for exactly that. Another part of Jan's stand-up game that allows him to land cleanly are his leg kicks. We've made a whole video on why this technique is so useful, and Jan implements it for that very reason. After 1 to 2 rounds of powerful leg kicks, his opponent's movements become staggered, which allows Jan to combo off or use his stand-up to go for a quick power double. Jan also implements the classic Muay Thai combos like the jab cross step body kick that he used to hurt Ilir Latifi. The body kick is one of Jan's favorite tools and he uses it expertly. Although Jan has enough power to knock out his opponents, even off the back foot, he doesn't make the classic mistake by other hard hitters of recklessly storming his opponents, but instead utilizes patience and solid combos to get the job done. Jan also has a solid strike differential with a significant strike landed per minute being 3.49 and absorbed at 2.74. Both of these champions possess excellent striking skills at different parts of the spectrum, but where they both align is their patience and affinity for countering, so we expect what should be a striking chess match. Lastly, let's take a look at the clinch. There isn't much to say here. Both fighters don't fight in the clinch any more than they need to. Adesanya avoids the clinch as much as possible, framing long on his opponents to maintain space while circling, and occasionally driving a knee up the middle for good measure. Jan, on the other hand, is often the one controlling the pace of the fight, and being as imposing as he isn't easy to pin down against a cage. Now, how do these two compare against one another? When it comes to takedowns, ground game, and jiu-jitsu, Jan Blachowicz has the upper hand. His ground game is one of the best in the light heavyweight division and will be the ace up his sleeve if the striking doesn't go his way. As the much bigger man, if he's able to take Adesanya down, his constant pressure and size might play a major factor in the later rounds, as this may wear on Adesanya's cardio. But this is no easy task. Adesanya has some of the best distance control and takedown defense in the entire UFC, so if Jan wants this fight to go to the ground, he'll have to work harder than he ever has. Jan has only ever been knocked out once in the UFC, and that was against Thiago Santos. Throughout the fight, Maheta ate away at Jan's legs, and when Jan blitzed it in with a flurry, he was clipped, and that's all she wrote. This is the exact same way Adesanya dispersed to Paulo Costa. With a 2-inch reach advantage and being a predominantly counter-striker, Adesanya will utilize his leg kicks the same way he did with Romero and Costa. Against a much bigger man, he'll keep his distance with his jabs and eat away at the legs until he can make Jan commit a mistake. Adesanya has an array of weapons in the stand-up, and this may ultimately prove to be too much for Jan. But, as the saying goes, power is the great equalizer, and there's no doubt Jan possesses the most power in this fight, which will be apparent in both striking and grappling exchanges. Adesanya's coach, Eugene Behrman himself, said that the only time Izzy has lost in kickboxing and boxing was against guys much bigger than him and who were just too powerful. That's what makes this fight so intriguing. Jan is a calculated striker with atomic bombs in his hand and has top-level jiu-jitsu. Adesanya, on the other hand, is always just too fast and too smart for his opponents. This fight is a true coin flip, and we can't wait to see how it goes. Will Jan Blachowicz be the man to take Adesanya 0, or will the Last Stylebender etch his name into the UFC history books and become the fastest champ in history? We'll find out at UFC 259. Before we go, we have an announcement. If you're a fan of MMA, but just don't have a lot of friends to talk to, I'd like to announce that we finally made our Discord server public for everybody. Our Discord server is meant to create a sense of community where you're able to talk, debate, share memes, come online during fight nights, and chat with other like-minded people just as yourself. If you're interested, the link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked it, please make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe.